for it anymore. No, I don't. Hello. Welcome to Empire of the Vampire Live Show. Is it the Empire? Yeah, it's the Empire of the Vampire Live Show. I was like, it's
That's
not the
what the
Damned.
book's called. Yes, well done.
I've not read the Damned yet. I'm like, is it the Damned? Or... No, like that's next. But I'm so excited to talk about this book. This fucking chunk book. I've got the standard edition here that I am getting rid of this one because I've got the Illumicrate and the special one that you've got.
I just have the normal one.
Well, I just thought if I was talking about any of the pictures, like it's prettier to see them in full colour.
Yes, 100%.
Don't rub it in, Chloe.
I mean, in all fairness, like I would rather have not paid £50 for this book or £40, whatever it was. It was too much. But
yeah, you had to though.
It's fair.
You had to though. It was stunning. So, it feels like, well, it probably has been forever. It feels like forever since we've talked about a book.
I mean, it was December the last time we spoke about one. It has been, or was it the beginning of January? No, it's the beginning of January.
Yeah, it's been a while. We've had a while to read this, and I didn't need a while. I read it in like 2 nights or something.
I finished it today.
It is a reread for you, though, isn't it? So
yeah, and I just haven't really been in the mood to read it. So, like, we're just lucky I read it at all.
I mean, at least it's a reread. Like, at least you would have known. Like, we wouldn't have spoiled you for anything.
No, I don't. I'm just going to warn you now. I don't have the most notes for it because I listened to the audiobook while I was working. But I can figure out things to say.
I don't have that much either, but so spoiler, I have Empire of the Damned sitting right there. It arrived while I was literally, yeah, I've just put mine away. Well, like in my TBR bit for Marvel.
It's a prop for the end when we're like, here's what we're going to talk about.
And I've only opened the front page, but it literally gives you a recap of all the characters.
There's always a recap in J. Kristoff books.
That's what
I've never read it. It didn't really do that for Illumination.
Oh, yeah, he didn't. Well, no, he does it wherever he can.
Yeah, I'm sure, but it was cool opening it and being like, oh, this is cool. If I hadn't just finished it, that would have been helpful.
Yeah, when I was not sure if I was going to finish it in time, I was like, do I just read because Empire of the Damned arrived? I was like, I could just read the recap at the beginning of that if I need to.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. One of the things I do like about one of the things I do like J. Kristoff's writing is that, or his books, is that the ones that I've read, where it's just been him, he does do a good recap, and it's very So because not everyone has the time to do a reread, especially a book this big. Before moving on to the next one. But
some
before we go on
like to reread either, like even if it has been a time gap, they just don't like it, or you might remember enough about it, but it's like the names and who is who to who that catches them out. So
before we go into any chats, obviously anyone who's watching this, it is a spoilery chat. Oh, they always are. And we're gonna go into ratings. So we'll start with Tori, the person who's never read it before. Oh, you have? Have you read it?
I have read it.
Maybe for everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, what were you rating then?
I rated it 5-star, same as last time.
Oh, fab. Chloe?
So the first time I read it, I gave it 5 stars. I gave it 4. And I feel like this read along may have been a bad idea for me in a way, because there were just bits that so I'm going to try and my best to explain this. There are certain things to do with how the story is told in this where I like the general idea of like him telling his story to someone else. I like the bits where it's sort of like, no, actually, I don't want to tell you about this bit, so I'm just going to change the subjects and go to the other timeline. The bits where it was like, tell me as someone who doesn't understand the world at all, did start to feel very lazy as I was reading it. And also the first 300 pages felt very, very info dumpy. And just like, because they kept doing that so much throughout the beginning of it, it felt a lot like, once it got into the actual story, about halfway through, had a great time. But that first bit started to feel a bit lazy and started to feel a bit too reminiscent of other things I've seen him do before. And I feel like I noticed that more this time, and that affected my enjoyment. So I think overall it's probably a 4.
Yeah, well, I gave it a 5 same as I did last time. I think though it's just like I sound really bad. I don't like to be critical of it. I'm just like he's just a great. I don't like to be critical of it. I know I should be like objectively. I get what you're saying, and if I was looking at it from an objective lens and not like just vibes and enjoyment, I was like, yeah, I loved it. Like,
but I feel like what happened with me is that I didn't enjoy it as much because I was noticing those things.
Yeah.
So like if I was
Yeah.
sort of noticing those things but was still having a good time, I probably would have kept it as a 5. But it was actively like stopping me enjoying it.
Yeah, that's a bit shit for you.
I think if I hadn't pushed through, so like I was adamant that this was being my last read of January, and I had like half the book to go. Like I should have just rolled this bugger over into February and called it quits, but I didn't. And I think I kind of rushed the last 150-ish pages, but at the same time, it was the bit I remembered the most. So it was the only bit of the whole book that I listened at 2.5. And for the first time ever, I went that high. Like you guys know, like 2.2 is like my highest. But don't get me wrong. It was stuff that I remembered and I managed fine. And it didn't impact my enjoyment. Like it only saved me like half an hour. Like it was not enough. Like, so like objectively, I probably would have had a higher 5 rating if I'd given myself the time. But also, bitch was tired. I had so much time to read this. Like I did not need to finish this on the 31st of January. But I did.
Definitely not.
I mean, I've already messaged Lisa about rolling over Massillon books. Like, I don't like having stuff left over. But, and I was like, I can do this. It's fine.
Yeah, neither do I. And I started reading an e-arc 2 days ago. And I'm like, and I still haven't finished it. And it's stressing me out. So I may just stay up tonight to finish that.
Okay. I have no chance.
Yeah. See, at least mine's like a YA contemporary. It's fine.
I think with me, I'm one of those people that's just like, but if I don't finish it, I don't finish it. I started a book 3 months ago and I've still not like 5 chapters in, and I know Becca don't like that either. A lot of people don't, and I've stopped stressing myself out about it because I would, yeah. I know what I'm like.
Like really close to the end of the month, I started knowing I'm not finishing it. But because with both of these, I've started them like a week ago. I'm in my head. I'm like, why the fuck did you not read this? But work. Like I said to Lisa before we started, I didn't realize today is budgeting day. Like I had to have all of my financials in today, and I have spent the whole day stressed. And I didn't realize that when I did this. Hence me eating dinner just as we started. But like it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
We have a smash.
We do have a smash. He's been commenting a bit. And I was going to say, like, we should probably look at the comments.
Today has been the worst. I didn't want to go sing, so you get my chaos instead. That's absolutely fine.
I'm sorry you had a bad day, but I'm very happy for your company.
I'm glad you're sore.
I'm sorry for whatever crazy appears in me. It's fine. I mean, come on, Smash, you put up with me. Like, what the fuck?
I like crazy.
I finished this book today. Well, technically I finished it yesterday, but I fell asleep last night for the last hour of the audiobooks. I had to reread that one today.
Is this the book you tweeted about earlier, Smash, when you were saying about rereading something and thinking something else had happened in the book? Because I was really confused by that.
I need to know this.
I'm going to find the tweet 1 second.
And if
I assumed it was this because I knew she was reading it. It was. She's confirmed. Yeah, the tweet said, when you reread a book you thoroughly enjoyed, and this time something that happened didn't happen, my brain made a proper crazy end to the story that apparently didn't happen.
I need to know what this ending.
Yeah, I would like to know what you thought happened originally, Smash.
Agreed.
I don't understand people who don't like reread. I respect them, but I don't get it. I mean, same. Especially if you really loved a book, you're like, I really, really loved that 5 stars. Not going to reread it. Why?
I think, well, there's some books I think that because, like, I mean, I like things that make me sad. So there's some books where I might be like, actually, like, I've read that once and I don't think I could put myself through it again, but actually, like, it's a really good book. But I feel like if it's a 5-star that, like, was, that's more when it's like this is technically a 5-star, but also because it made me feel things. But when it's a 5-star that is like, and I really enjoyed this, I had a good time, I'm like, yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah. Comfort rereads are the best.
Yeah.
A very valid reason to lower your rating. Yeah, I agree. I did not start my song books yet. Tonight is a rock night.
That is fair. You've got time before the live show, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, I asked Becca yesterday when it was, because we were talking about the Massillon books. And she was saying that Ash had not started them yet. I'm like, yeah, but Ash will get them done. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if I hadn't had such a rubbish week, I probably would have been fine, but it just didn't happen.
Life happens, doesn't it? It's also another reason why I wanted to sack off rehearsal. That is fair. I will definitely go into what it was, but I wasn't sure if I would talk about the rest of the book. That would work, wouldn't it? Start from the beginning and all that jazz.
Me and Smash don't have any logical, like, right way to do it, so, you know.
Right, so I do have notes in various places, because why wouldn't I? So when we start, so the way that the book is formatted and the way they were introduced to Gabriel, I know that's like a format that some people don't like. What do you think about that setup?
It really confused me the first time I read it.
Thanks for the I really like the premise of it, of the sort of someone telling their story. So I think the execution of it I didn't necessarily love in some places, but the idea of like a story within a story I really liked. And I will say that listening to the audiobooks, I think the first time I did it, I read along, and this time I was mainly just listening. Sometimes it's really hard to catch when you're sort of jumping in and out. Obviously, it changes from being third person to first person, because it's third person when it's sort of the later and he's telling the story, and it's first person when you're actually in the story. But sometimes it would literally jump like in the middle of a page, and it'd be like, because the vampire would sort of interject something, and it'd be like, but which version am I in now? But I did like it, and what Smash is saying in the thing as well, it's very reminiscent of Interview with Vampire. Like it's very clear that this is heavily inspired by Anne Rice. I've not read Into the Vampire, but I know enough about that series that, like,
I've never read it, and I after what I've seen of like the later books, I don't think I want to read her book. But
to be honest, I know it more from like the film.
Totally agree with you about the other book.
I really like the narrator, though. I did like what the narrator did with it. And the last time I read it, I want to say I did the ebook. Like, I don't think I actually listened to it last time.
Yeah.
I did a bit of both, because I remember I have the very vivid memories of reading it the first time, because it came out September 2021, which was like just as things were like really fully starting to reopen again. Like, obviously we'd sort of been in and out of lockdowns and things. And I had tickets booked to go and see Trevor Noah at the O2 Arena that was supposed to happen in 2020, and it kept getting rescheduled, and it got rescheduled to that September. And it was the first time I came sort of back down to London by myself, and I went to see that. I went to see Frozen, and I went to see something else. And that this book had just come before, so I brought that with me. So I was listening to the audiobook when I was walking around London, and then reading along when I was in the hotel room. So I can tell you exactly
vividly remember. So I had my grey couch, and this wall wasn't here, and it was when this was all open plan, and I had the L-shaped sofa like down here, and I did a weekend readathon. Can't remember what readathon it was that September, but it was one of them. It was a weekend one. And I literally had a bed made, and Richie literally walked past me to the kitchen and said hi, and walked back upstairs and walked past me to the kitchen. I was still reading this bloody book, and it felt like it took forever, but it was only because other people were like, "Oh, I'm on to my next book." Like short romances, you know what I mean? Like when you're reading a bigger book and everyone's like reading them faster. But I remember with reading the ebook that I didn't know how to say half of the names and like half of the stuff. So this time with the audiobook, I was like, oh yeah, I did not say that right.
Yeah, well, it was something I was just looking for a name then, because there was a name that I kept hearing, but like I said, because I'd not, it was like the order of something, and I couldn't figure out what they were actually saying because like they pronounced it with a French accent. And I remember being like, I don't remember reading that last time, and I have just found
Is
it,
it
and now I've lost it again.
Sean?
No, it's so it's Ordo Argent is how it looks in the thing, but that is not how it is said in the audiobook at all. It's like it sounds like the same Valjean at one point. I was like,
Yeah.
am I reading Linus?
Oh, that.
Because I think it's Argent is how they say it. Like they don't pronounce the T because it's French.
I
But it
do
sounded like
forget.
Valjean.
I did forget how much French they do talk, or like how much because they say like ma famille, don't they? And I was just like, I forgot how much it sort of worked into the conversation as well. Because that totally just I did pay attention last time I read it. Honestly, I did, but because it's been so long since I've read it, and obviously there's certain things that happen, they're the bits that stick in your mind, not the conversations that they have where they're just talking. I'm like, oh my god, there's so much French.
I always find it weird when they make the choice to do that though, because I'm like, obviously these characters are actually speaking in French.
Yeah.
So why do we choose just certain phrases to say? Because I'm like, realistically, this entire text is in French and we've got the English translated version. I'm like, so why have we picked these particular ones? I mean, it does just remind you that they are in France.
Yeah.
But
every now and again you're like, oh yeah, ma famille, yep. That's French. They're in France.
Or is it France, or is it like I never figured this out actually? Like,
Northland though, so is like, is it France?
I think it's based on
somewhere that has been conquered by France and speaks French.
Well, what I think it probably is it's a fantasy world in general, and it's not actually related to our world at all, and it just happens to be the French it's based on France.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have agreed.
I'm just like, yeah, it's French.
in the way that like if you read sort of like the Shadow and Bone books, there is definitely like Russian inspired things in there, but it is not Russia, it is Ravka.
Yeah. Very much so. I took the book to work and had to show people the page with all the creative insults because they thought I was crazy. Not gonna lie, I obviously you're well aware that I pick certain phrases out. And
Really? Shock.
Fuck my face was one that I was just like, I thought they said it way more than they did. But just because I probably picked up on it, and I was just like,
every time they said it in the audiobook, I heard you laughing straight after it.
But like there was so many witty comments, like oh yeah, I did have to write here. Fuck my face, justice died. Because I forgot that bit. I will behold the person which I keep the fucks about what you think of me. I was pissing myself laughing at that. I was like, how did I forget that this phrase was here? It was great. How would we know it was in France? It was sprinkling of French, we won't.
It's like when you watch Beauty and the Beast, and like it's all in France. They are all technically speaking French, but you know it's France because Lumiere exists and he has a French accent.
Is it not a Frenchy fantasy place? Like,
I think that's what it is. Speaking of Nevernight, I'm not gonna say too much, but because you haven't read it, right? No, not gonna say too much, but it definitely reads like. Obviously, we've read other J. Kristoff ones, but it's been like either stuff that he's written with Amy Kaufman or Lifelike, which is so completely separate to it. This feels definitely like sort of almost like a sort of sibling book to Nevernight in the way that like it's the same style of fantasy, but also like one of the first things you notice is that they have Day's Death in this, and in Nevernight the whole thing is Nevernight, so it's literally the exact opposite. Where it never, so in Nevernight, this isn't a spoiler. What Nevernight means is it literally never sort of goes fully dark. Like there's never night.
That part, but I don't know what anything of the story is about, to be fair. But I mean, it could have been a total like, this is what you think it is. Oh, look, it's this. But
no, there is like an actual thing in that, and then in this we have Day's Death, which is kind of the opposite, where it's Like we don't really get daytime anymore. So
maybe they're both set on the opposite ends of the same Earth, and one is constantly dark and one is constantly light.
Oh, I mean that'd be really like a bad place to live in general if there's all this shit happening there, and then there's like
100%. If you ever read Nevernight, you'll realise that like no part of this world would be a world where you'd want to
you've got
live.
the Silver Saints on one side, and then you've got like the red, whatever it's called, on the other side. No, thank you.
And you would die
Yeah,
anyway.
when I end up finally reading
Church,
Nevernight.
What did I put? Oh yeah, the insults, pig buggering little shit wizard. Fucking, I've written down a few of the phrases. I love it.
I forgot how funny it was, to be fair.
Yeah, at the beginning it was like, and when like with the way that they talk to each other, he does the kind of, not really banter, but kind of like the way that they talk to each other. But when we first introduced to this character, I keep forgetting his name. What's his name?
Aaron
from which one are we talking about?
Greyhound.
The guy who swears at him.
I
forget his name. I've written it down somewhere.
It is. I feel like there's a few of them.
Yeah, because Greyhound's his mentor, isn't it? Talon. Thank you, Smash. What would we do without you? Literally, be sat here looking through my notes and freaking books. Him just the way that he was just like swearing at them all, and just like it was like a military camp on it, and that made me laugh so much. The way that he was just like insulting them all the time.
Oh, that was such a satisfying thunk.
I will say again though, and again sort of out. I'm gonna really try not to spoil Nevernight like with thing, but this is another thing that maybe lowered my rating a little bit. Is that he got to the sort of training thing to be a Silver Saint, and I'm like, oh, where have I seen a J. Kristoff character be taken to a training place before at like 16 years old? It felt a little bit repetitive. Like I said, once it got past that, it very much felt like its own story and like got better. But like it did give me Mia going to the Red Church vibes.
Yeah. I do get that. So when again, I forgot so much of this book. I forgot that when we start the story, he talks about meeting Chloe in Dior so early on in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Like way earlier than I thought that.
Yeah, because we're jumping around in timelines, aren't we?
Yeah.
Like you meet Chloe in that storyline really before you meet her in anything else, and it's like it's really weird because you're sort of getting connected to her, and like he's telling you things that like, oh yeah, because I trained her in fighting and all this, and it's like, did you? I've not seen that yet.
Yeah, so that because obviously once you read it in my mind logically, because sometimes my brain can do things logically, I've rearranged the timeline in my brain. Yeah, so I'm like Red Church, not Red Church. You've got me saying Red Church now. Silver Saints, and then later on in life he meets Chloe and then Dior, and then they go on this thing, but then when we first started reading it, I really genuinely thought, because the first few chapters I'll just listen to while I was doing stuff, I thought I'd accidentally skipped the audiobook somehow. And then I was like, no, it is only like this chapter. That's right. And I had to go and read the book. I was like, oh, right, okay, yeah, I forgot. We jumped around a bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I did, but Chloe did piss me off. But then again,
I forgot what she did at the end when I was reading it this time. I was like, oh, yeah. Because like, and I think that this is a good thing because this is definitely how I reacted the first time. Like I said, I think I was really into it by the time I got to this part. But like, spoiler, I mean, I think there's only Ash in the comments, but spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't read it. Got like jumping towards the end. Obviously, you have the moment where you think she's died anyway. And then when she comes back, it's really nice. Like, oh, she survived.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, no.
Like, reinforcements. Like, not only did she survive, but she brought reinforcements.
And like he gets to go back to the Silver Saints. Like, they're still not happy with him, but he gets to go back. And it's like, oh, it's great. And it's like, oh, no.
No.
Really not.
Maybe stay away.
Yeah. So, yeah, you know what else I noticed this. The more books that I read from him, the more I notice like there's always a reference to books. Always.
What I found funny in this one is that, so at least, and like in the other books where it's happened, in again without I'm gonna, every time I mention Nevernight, I'm saying it's not a spoiler, I promise. But in Nevernight, there is a library, and like the whole it's got sort of a framing device in it again where somebody is telling the story of what happened. So the idea is that you're almost reading a book from this world, and that's set up like very early on. So it's sort of like, it's like, so that one, it kind of makes sense because like you're kind of very aware you're reading a book throughout the entire thing, and it is like a narrator who is like omniscient and who is sort of telling you how good books are. And it's like, well, obviously you're writing one, why not? And then in some of the other ones, there's always a quote, but it feels like it's sort of more natural because like you'll have characters who are more sort of bookish or whatever. In this one, what I found really funny is that the first time we got, because we had quite a few of those quotes towards the end, and the first time we had one where it was like, I think it was a life without books is a life not worth living or something like that. We got to it. He had not mentioned reading a book once in this entire story. Like, there was no mention of him being like, the only book that was mentioned technically was the vampire writing his story down. Like there was literally no mention of reading at all.
They did lots of research. They did not read for pleasure, but they did lots of research.
I think we'd not even really got to that at that point, in all fairness. It was like in the middle of like a battle scene or something, and it was so strange. And then later on, like it kind of made sense because it was when they were actually researching something and they were talking about it, but they just kind of kept mentioning books and how good they were, and I'm like, again, I've never seen you read for pleasure, sir.
I feel like every book mentioned in this is like the history of X bloodline, or all of the battles of 1825 in Nordlands explored, and like it's all nonfiction. It's all like detailed, like handwritten scrolls. None of it.
The way he was talking about books was like, oh yeah, these are so important to me. I'm like, no, they're not.
This is true.
You lug boxes across the country, man, and then we can talk.
I feel like if you'd had like Astrid saying it, maybe it'd have made sense, because like we don't know what she does in between, and obviously she kind of was having to like read more stuff anyway. She may have, and she came from sort of a place where she had more money originally. Maybe she was someone who read for fun. Like it would have made more sense. It didn't make sense for Gabriel to say it.
No, I get it that he just like putting that in his book because it's like his stamp in it. It's like his little thing.
Let's just like make it make sense. Subtle way to do it.
As a book lover, I respect it.
Character to use.
Yeah.
Like sprinkle it in.
Yeah. As a book lover, I respect it, but it feels like he only does this type of fancy quote to put on stuff. Vibes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's the one that always gets picked out by the book boxes to be on things. Like I literally have two of the like the fabric book holder things from Illumicrate, and I have one that's like an EOTV one, I think, because I'm sure it's got that quote I just mentioned, and one that's like an Evernight one. I'm like, yeah, there we go.
Either history stuff or mushrooms and potatoes and how to knit them, not the way.
His hatred of potatoes made me laugh so much.
There was a tweet this week from J. Kristoff where someone was asking him why does he hate potatoes so much, and he just retweeted saying the views of the character do not reflect the views of the author.
I do love his interactions though, like as an actual person. Some of the stuff that he tweets and writes, I'm just like, oh, fucking hell. So what did you think of Jean-Francois as a character? Because we do get quite a bit of him, but he's only really there to sort of have like a back and forth conversation with Gabe.
Like he's there, but he's not like, we don't find anything out about him really. Like we don't know sort of what like his history is at all. So like he was fine, but like I didn't really care.
You know what I forgot and had a literal oh my god moment when I was like 4 pages into the book and he's described for the first time. He's 15 or 16 when he died. And in my head, I have like this ancient man, like you know, Lestat equivalent, like a grown man turned to a vampire, interviewing someone else, like literally interview like a vampire. And literally when I was reading it, it said he must have been 15 or 16 when he died. And I was like, wait, what? Like in my head, the whole way through the first time I read it, and everything I had in my memory was this older guy, like sitting opposite, like a mid-30. That's what I had in my head, depending on the time of the book. But like I had it in my head that like Gabriel was opposite, like this older guy who could like take him in a fight. Oh no, 15. Not actually, obviously, but like body-wise.
No.
And it totally threw me.
Makes what happens at the end a little bit more shocking.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, oh shit. Apparently we're all making stuff up about this book. Yeah. I feel that.
Yeah, I don't know what I pictured in my head, but I did not have like a 15-year-old man inside a 15-year-old's body as the image in my head.
But it doesn't take long to get into the whole, vampire fangy thing, does it? So
no, I think it's like the first conversation they'd like literally swap blood. Like it went pretty hard.
When his sisters come back.
Yeah.
That always, I think it's because kids are involved. It always makes me feel a little bit icky.
I feel like it sort of sets the tone, though, which is kind of what's needed, because, vampire stories have been more sort of romanticized, and that is not the type of vampire story this is. This is the type of vampire story that it is.
Yes. And that made my, because again, I knew that happened, but I think I kind of put, it's quite descriptive in how they look and stuff, isn't it? And like what exactly happens, and it's kind of like you forget those little details, like the broad what happens, and then you're like, oh shit, this is really bad, like this, and when he just kills them, like, yeah.
I mean, if you want, there is a romance in it. I don't think it's necessarily got the ending that you would normally hope from a romantic vampire story. Like, spoiler alert, not happy. Like, ignore what the final picture in the book.
Aaron is not the absolute most destroyed he could have been at the end of this book.
Like, ignore what the final picture makes it look like. This is not true.
It does not happen. False advertising, Mr. Kristoff. What the fuck is that about?
I mean, look, there's a smiling face. I don't know what you're on about. I'm also only 600 pages in, and there's over 100 pages left. But
so yeah, it's Emily and Julieta. Like, I did forget that sort of like how that played out.
Sorry, really random question, Chloe. Are your pictures on the same pages as mine? Do you have one on 162? Because I haven't seen this in color. If you have it, and I would like to see it.
Oh yeah, that looks pretty.
Thanks. I wanted to see it in color because obviously mine's.
It's beautiful in color. Oh, I just accidentally clicked on that again. Where's my thing? So my next notes are when he we get to this part, the bloodletting part. Was it you that messaged me, Tori? You were like, I forgot that it went into that much detail. Was it you that messaged me about that? Somebody messaged me and they were like, oh shit, I forgot it went into that much detail. Might have been someone else who messaged me about it, but
to be fair, I think I messaged Chloe more than I messaged anyone else when I was shooting it, to be fair.
Yeah, but then I messaged you back being like, I'm not starting the reread yet and I can't remember anything. You're like, okay, I'll stop.
Well, I didn't want to spoil anything on like a reread because half of it when I got to it, I was like, oh, I forgot about that. And then I was like, well, I don't want to spoil that.
So, yeah, the whole him suddenly having like
finding out that he likes blood thing.
Yeah, that was a revelation, wasn't it?
Yeah, I will admit I did re-listen to that on audio, and I was very glad at that point that it was through headphones. Because a lot of the time, if I'm lying in bed, like I'll just sit my phone like with it on speakerphone, like here, and I just like lie. I'm very glad that that was not like that.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know what to say about it, to be honest.
I mean, I remember it happening. That's one of the points in the book that I do vividly remember. Like you can't get that. I can't get that scene out of my
Does
head.
anybody know if that's the bit that made Gem DNF? Because I'm curious as to where she stopped. If anybody knows,
Possibly.
I didn't ask her.
I don't. No, I don't know. I do remember her saying that she didn't like that. Oh, it might have been her that messaged me about that bit. Like she didn't like it.
I haven't really heard Gem's thoughts on it that much, other than that she stopped reading it.
Yeah, I think she did say that that made her feel a little bit uncomfortable because when she messaged it, I can't remember when she messaged it, and I sent a message privately, and I said, "Is it the whole like bloodletting thing?" And she's like, "Yeah, yeah."
I feel like once you get past that, though, it.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
It was on the way. So yeah, it was a part that made her feel a bit like icky, which I get. I do get that. Even if you know it's coming, that's what she said.
I don't
it's
really have an issue with anything like that, so I'm fine.
Yeah, no, it is a bit shocking if you've never read that kind of thing before. Because before I read this, I don't think I'd read anything that kind of thing was in before. I'd read smut and stuff before, but I read this and then ended up reading King of Battle and Blood, and then it seemed to be a theme for a while. It came up in books, but yeah, yeah, it was a bit of a strange situation, wasn't it? But then he gets taken away to the Silver Saints. They just randomly rock up. Well, not randomly rock up. They rock up because he did the thing with the fangs.
His mama called them for assistance, which I'd forgotten. In my head, they appeared out of nowhere and were like, "We will take you. You can be a warrior." And I don't know why that was the outcome in my head, because it really is.
Make it up again, Zara.
I know. But his dad, stepdad, whatever you want to call the man who was in the house that he was in, since we now, obviously, spoiler, no, not biological dad, was a bit of an asshole, not gonna lie.
Just a little bit. Just
a little bit.
Just a smidge. We kind of know why he was treated differently, even though that's wrong for him to do so. He was obviously treated differently because he knew that he weren't his son. So he's just like, I don't give a shit about you.
Well, also, do you think he knew something? Do you think it was just that, like, it wasn't his son, or did he know that there was something else to him as well? Because
possibly, because his mum definitely did, didn't she?
Well, yeah, because like, not great to treat someone different just because they're like your adoptive child, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But like, if you had a kid that you were worried was part vampire, you might be a little bit weird around him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not excusing it. Like, he took it to a whole other level.
Yeah, he did.
I would be a bit cautious.
Yeah, 100%. I do believe that as well. And although I knew
that he didn't like get rid of him sooner, shall we say? Like, if he did know, which I think he did, because either he knew he definitely wasn't his kid, or he knew that he was potentially as Lisa goes
the thing with the fangs.
he did the thing with the fangs, yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
It's true.
This is very fair.
Because even you can't even say.
I was about to say Advent.
Chloe's okay.
I think the horse.
Which one?
Justice. Both.
Justice that was RIP.
Or any horse character.
DeCoste. He gave him his sword. He didn't treat him like a bastard, and he stood up for Aaron, even though Aaron was a bastard.
Yes.
Probably the nicest person I can think of.
The level of awfulness is just on a scale. I mean, that is fair. I do think Chloe was okay though, but she was just very pious. And the thing is with me, I don't have anything against religion, nothing at all. But when I read people that are
We
just so
don't
pious,
remember the same ending of this book.
Yeah, I don't think you can say, oh, it's just because it was her religion, that's fine. She was going to kill someone.
no, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that it's okay.
Yeah, but then we can't say she's a nice character if her especially because she was only being nice to Dior because it was like, yeah, I'll be nice to you because then you'll trust me and then I can kill you.
Like, at least Greyhound was like an actual asshole the whole way through.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually like, I can't make my face not do the job.
I feel like if we're gonna argue for one of them being like a nice character, really, argue for Dior in a way. Like Dior's got slaps, but is genuinely a good person.
Okay.
Like, at least Gabriel knows he's an asshole. Like, he doesn't try to change it. You get with him.
But also, I feel like he is a good person who genuinely, like, for the people that he likes, he is like he's very protective of. I think he's just got like it's his manner, and I don't think that doesn't make you nice necessarily. Yeah. It just means don't fuck with them either.
Yeah, I think he does. And then, to be fair, and I'm not excusing his behavior. I don't excuse anyone's behavior like that. But the guy's been through a lot. Like, he's not had the easiest life, and you can kind of understand why he just wants to drown himself in alcohol and just gives zero fucks about helping anybody else.
And you say give zero fucks. He goes into it saying, yeah, I'm just going to use them and abuse them. But the second he's connected to them at all, he's like, well, no, I'm going to have to stay now. Like, he doesn't take a lot, really, does it, for it to take it?
Safe. Yeah, but will you actually leave them? I would say Astrid would be the one that I would potentially put on because, again, really shit circumstances that got her into the order. She then spent tons of time researching something for Gabriel. Ended up running away.
Got Gabriel to train Chloe as well, so it was very much like, I want to help other people.
Yeah, and then they got kicked out because she got preggo.
Yeah.
And
then also, and then by the sounds of it, I mean, obviously we don't know sort of what happened in between, but by the sounds of it, they just lived a very nice, happy life together with their child for a while until things went.
Yeah, that was. Not that I would have liked to see more of that, because I think that if I'd have seen more of that, it would have made the death a bit more devastating.
You think we're not going to get more flashbacks to it as the series goes on?
Probably, which I think because we know what happens to them, like I don't want to become more attached to them. I'm kind of I don't want to feel that connection.
Coming and visiting him anyway, doesn't she? Like, so, like, he keeps getting visions of her.
That's sort of like in a fangy form, isn't it? Like, not in a.
Yeah, but but like that could then spur him on to remember things. So, like, I would be surprised if we don't see her in any way again.
I would be surprised, but I don't want to be reminded of the pain.
I mean, he literally has the words patience tattooed on his knuckles. I think you might hear about her again as well.
Patience. She was a good character, even though she's like barely in it. She was a good person.
She just wanted to learn about plants.
Yes, Father. This goes into what I thought the end of the book was.
Okay, yes, give us what you thought it was.
Tell us.
I've got an idea of what you think it was now, actually, from saying
Smash
smashes her keyboard.
I have the most vivid memory of the vampire standing up after the fight, going into a different cell. And Ash being there alive and smoking.
See, I had a memory of him leaving, like them not coming back and relocking the door, like him doing it and actually managing to escape. But I think that's because that was how I wanted it to end. Like, in my brain had been like, fuck, I wish that had happened. Not actually, that's what you read. I think that was delusional Tori being like, I have to wait for the next book now. Like, this is mean.
What did we think of the Aaron when we met him? I hated him at first. Not gonna lie.
So when we met him, I don't think we were supposed to like him.
No.
He was an arrogant asshole, although he does look very pretty in the picture.
He does look very pretty, but he was an arrogant prick. And it did shock me to find out that he was gay. It wasn't a storyline that I ever saw coming.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be that he was the one that was actually behind the other things.
I feel like I didn't expect it, but I also wasn't shocked necessarily. Like, I don't know if it's just sort of like how I read things. Like, I've never, when someone's sort of sexuality is revealed, I never think of it as like a shocking moment because it shouldn't be. Like, which I did appreciate actually, because like Gabriel sort of had like that moment of being like, he questioned it obviously because he was being brought up in he was being trained in like a religious thing. So we did question it for like a minute, but then was like, you know what? They're not hurting anyone.
I didn't mean it was a shocking to find out he was gay. That came out wrong. I meant it was a shock to find that that was the storyline that we're going with. Yeah. I thought the reveal was going to be that maybe DeCoste wasn't as nice as he was claiming out to be, like this blacksmith, that he was going to...
You're getting the names confused. The blacksmith is Baptiste.
Baptiste, that's it.
DeCoste is Aaron.
Yeah, that one. I thought we were going to find that him and Baptiste were actually behind, like, conniving together behind everything that was going wrong. Not that they were actually together. So that was the shocking bit, like the twist in the storyline. But I'm glad that Baptiste turned out to be a good person as well. Because
I like Baptiste.
When Gabe first went in and he was actually really nice to him and talking about him making him a sword and stuff, and like that was really sweet, but because everyone else is so evil around them, and because we all know that you can't always trust where Kristoff starts going with his stories, I didn't know whether Baptiste was actually still actually a nice person or not. I wanted to believe he was, but I just didn't know that he was. But then when we found out he was, I thought he was just gonna die. Shh. Can't.
We've got 2 more books in the series.
I think once we realised that he was with Baptiste, part of me thinks it explains why he had such a chip on his shoulder and wanted to keep everyone away, because obviously with being part of a religious sect, where that was ridiculously wrong, it's not, but it is for them. They're brought up like that. It's obvious why he didn't want to. It's the same as him and Astrid. They wanted to be together. They could have been amazing at their jobs while still together, but they weren't allowed. They lost a blacksmith, the person in charge of the order, and 2 of their best fighters because they just couldn't get around relationships.
You went on any relationships
more fighters.
Yeah.
It's a fact as well that it's it wasn't just sort of all of this other queer relationships, so it can't happen. It's no relationships whatsoever. How dare you?
Yeah. But one of the things that did start make me laugh a little bit was one of the insults that they threw at them was boy lover. And I was like, that's not an insult. That's just
no, but for someone who is homophobic, it is.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose it is. But the fact that even though that went on, they still went and helped, but then that didn't redeem them in the eyes in the eyes of the Silver Saints. They were still you were in a relationship, so you're gonna be banished. So when they got away, I was like, that is good. But I didn't know that wouldn't be the last that we saw of them. I didn't know in what capacity they would come back in, and how we'd meet them again. But after we were introduced to them, and they weren't just the kind of side characters that you only mention once and it sort of moves on. I think because we'd met them a couple of times, and obviously they started building this brotherly bond between him and DeCoste. I thought that we would definitely see them again in some capacity. I just didn't know Didn't know how.
I love their little fort. Like, I know that's skipping ahead again. Sorry.
You what?
I love their fort. Like when we go back to them almost at the end, and it's like they've made it so it's like a single track in. Everybody can fall back. Everybody like knows how to keep themselves safe. And Baptiste has been like fortifying it. I love that. Also, we didn't see half of the tricks, so part of me wonders if there's going to be more shit.
I do like that they've made like a little family for themselves away from the Silver Saints, but that also scares me that they've built that family for themselves. Like, because if something good can be built, it can also be torn down into little pieces and broken. So, yeah.
Nobody's safe. We know this with authors.
But
like
that puts me on
could swap
edge.
with you and Smashes in the comments, and I'm doing maths with her, and I'm joining you guys for Kristoff. Like, I don't trust authors now.
Go read a fluffy contemporary. You could trust those ones. No. So a lot of this is jumping around between the timelines. We find out that the Grail is not a thing; it's a person, and Dior is that person. The sassy little child that really doesn't like Gabe.
I mean, also let's talk about the fact that at this point we still think Dior is male.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that Dior is male.
And Dior was consortia. Also not something that we can skip over.
I did like the fact that the first time when Gabe sees Dior and Sasha, it's like, oh, like, he's a bit young, right? And it's like, no, it's actually not. It's just that he looks younger because he's a she. And then when obviously he finds out that Dior is a girl, says something, she pretends to come on to him at one point, doesn't she? And then she says something about him like not having the right body parts or something, and then suddenly it clicks. Is like, oh yeah, I did see you kissing a girl before.
Like, ding 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 ding.
Like, took you a minute, but okay.
I am dreading what Empire Sam is gonna be like. I'm hyped but also nervous. Same. I feel like I don't know. I just feel like I'm gonna be stressed the whole time because there's people that you grow attached to. Because like we meet the cost, think he's an arsehole, find out he's actually just troubled, and also yes, he's come from a wealthier background, but you know, family life wasn't the best, and you know, we meet his fucking dad who was a bit of a dick, and you know, but then we meet him and Baptiste,
and then she's not. Just putting that out there.
We meet Baptiste and Aaron, who, well, when they're together, we meet him again, and like they've got this like little community that they fostered together, and then you know we
just
did
met Liathi again.
Yeah. We've met so many things happened near the end of this book, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Finding out that Talon was actually the one who was, well, can we call him the big bad prick? Whatever. Were you surprised at Talon being the one that was the bad guy? Well, I say bad. They're all bad, but you know what I mean. I wasn't.
The baddie or bad? Not really. He's an absolute
the baddest
asshole.
The baddest bad asshole one. But this is the bit, you know, the whole reveal bit about Talon. That whole scene is where, in the first time I read it, I fell asleep listening to it, and I woke up at that reveal. So I literally, when they realized what was happening, and then they said who it was, that's when I woke up, and I woke up to find that out, and I was like, I must have skipped like 3 or 4 chapters. So I had to go back and listen to it, knowing that was actually what was going on. I was fucking so annoyed with myself. So annoyed with myself. Like one of the biggest reveals of the book. And I just spoiled myself for it.
I mean, I feel like it could be worse. There was a lot of other bigger things that happened.
It could have been worse. Could have been worse. But when on reread, did I noticed more that he seemed to be tracking what the thrall was doing. When the first time you read it, you're like, oh yeah, he's mentioning that she's coming in and out, and that he can hear certain like footsteps or whatever. Like, but then when you reread it, you're like, oh, he's actually tracking what she's doing and how long she's gone, and that like that's something you pick up that I didn't pick up first time that I definitely noticed the second. Because when after the first when I first time I read it and that happened at the end, that was a shock to me. But now that obviously it wasn't a shock anyway because it's a reread, but now that I can see where it was actually, I was like, how the hell did he do that? How did he know all that? I was like, he's been telling us the whole book. That he's been paying attention to where this fucking thrall goes and how long she's gone for, and how often she comes in and all that lot. Like that was interesting to read about and reread because it's I do like things like that you don't pick up on first time.
Especially when, as Chloe said, if you're reading the audiobook, it goes between like third person, first person. There's not like even in the middle of a chapter, Jean-Claude,
François.
That guy, like he just interrupts and then it changes tense, and I was like, but yeah, it was when it like went to like the little chapters that were just them like closing. Normally a section, like the end of a part and the start of a part was like when the thrall would be there with the two of them and like getting more blood or giving him more wine or whatever. Like you'd have that actual conversation rather than just a line here and a line there that you'd have to like, oh wait, that's him in the current thing being interrupted from his story in the past.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the situation where I'm gonna call him Aaron then. Gabe is told to stay where he is, and Greyhound goes off, and he disobeys orders, and then Greyhound loses his arm.
And they also said like they lose people and all sorts of shit went down.
I forgot that whole thing happened.
I remember
I read it and I was like, did I miss this moment in time I fell asleep? But like I forgot that whole situation happened. I was like, oh shit, he lost his arm. And it was his fault.
That Gabriel had like completely disobeyed an order, and I remembered that equated to Greyhound losing his arm, but I didn't remember the ins and outs of it. So every time Greyhound, for literally the first half of the book, every time Greyhound was like, stay, I was like, is this it? Is this the bit I remember? It was like,
is this one of the many times he tries to be the hero? And they keep telling him it's not about being the hero.
Hassle that he caused by not just staying put. And then like by not letting them try and deal with the issue either, then like more shit happened, and I was like, you just fucking cool your tits, man. Like
I don't know what else to ask about. There's so much that happens.
Can I ask a question?
You can ask a question. Ask away.
No.
Did you guys remember about Liathi? Because I did not remember that Liathi was his sister.
Yeah, that was one of the things. And also, if you, I think it works more in the version where it's colorized. But if you look, I remember the first time I read it when, like I kind of picked up on it quite early on, because when you see the picture of his sisters,
the one I asked you to show earlier.
No, the one you asked me to show was Liathi, but then there's when you have the picture of his where is it? I've already shown it once today because it disturbs Lisa.
60 pages in or something.
Like, does that not look familiar? When you see her like that in the middle, she looks very similar. to sort of
I
like
think
when you
it's
see.
quite similar to that version of him.
No, but I meant that because that's her, isn't it? That's the sister.
Yeah.
So when you get like you're saying it looks like Gabe, I'm saying that like at this point you don't know that like that you know that that's the sister. You don't know that's Leather, or is it? No, is that a different one? I'm getting confused.
No, that's the same person.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that one and that one.
Or is it? Or is that? No, that's not. I'm getting confused because it's the other sister who gets killed first, and then Leather is the younger sister who was fine when he left. Yeah, no, I'm getting confused.
And she gets burned in the church.
That is his other sister who's been killed, and she looks very, very similar to who we see as Leather. So it is sort of showing you like there's a family resemblance going
But
on.
also, in the first 150 pages, that's Gabe. That's his first sister, and his second, like they're all there.
They all look very, very similar. I feel that's the thing. The illustrations do give it away that there is very much a family resemblance happening.
Yeah, I did not remember. Like I remembered Leather being important, and I remembered the fact that at the end of the book she was back, and that like she was going to play a part. But I did not remember that she was a sister.
Well, yeah, because if you look at, like I said, again, this is the other sister who died. But then if you look at that compared to that, it's like, oh, there is definitely a resemblance between those two. Because I remember the first time I saw this one, I thought because I think I'd listened to that bit on audiobook and then I sort of went through and looked at the pictures afterwards. And I thought that was Leather because we had already seen her at one point. Like we see her quite early on. And I was like, I was getting confused and I was like, no, that's a sister. And I was like, they do look similar. So I sort of already had like a inkling of it, I feel. But
where's the other picture? What does your one look like? In this back section.
Which one are you talking about?
The very last one with the mask removed.
Oh, yeah.
704. 704. That's when picture-wise.
Yeah, but by that point, obviously, like you've been told at that point, so it's.
But like, if I hadn't been and I'd seen the picture, I think I would have realized.
Yeah, if you just flicked through, you'd be like, that looks familiar.
I did not remember this. I did not remember the Leather bit at the end either.
I feel like that's one of the key things I did remember.
In my mind, the end of the book was when we found out that I nearly called her Atlas then. What the fuck? Astrid and Patience died, and then he got up and was like killed.
Again, though, can we talk about we found out that Astrid and Patience had died?
Well,
it was so obvious all the way through. Like
I know, but like the whole.
I don't know if he was trying to make it like as obvious as it was, or if like he was supposed to be shocked by it. But was anyone actually shocked by it when they first read it? Because like he refers to her in past tense so many times. There is a moment where Dior realizes, because I think previously he had been saying it in like sort of in present tense, and then he said something about how like she was like this, and like he says that Dior gives him a look, and it's like, but then doesn't say anything, and like, oh, Dior's figured it out now. But like Astrid sort of come into him like him having like visions of her and stuff and things. It's like, well, I don't think that's an alive person.
That's an alive. No, it wasn't a shock.
Shocked the first time, if I remember right.
I wasn't shocked that they were dead. I had a feeling that they were dead, but it's just reading about how they died that was just sort of like, I don't.
Yeah, I think it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I was like, I kind of got the feeling that they were unalived. I don't need to see this scene play out, thank you very much. When she's just there being held by the fucking vampire, and then she's like looking at her dad, and I'm like, oh, please stop. So yeah, but in my mind, that's where it ended, and then he got up and he went for Jean-Francois. And that's it. That's in the end. That was that in the end. In my mind, that was the end of the book. I forgot everything else that happened.
It's interesting with Leah. It's obviously like she sort of explains who she is. She tells him that she hates him. So like she's not there to help him, but then she also does kind of help him, but that's more because she doesn't want Dior to be killed. So but then he says to her on the way out that it's good to see you, whatever he calls her. I can't remember what he calls her.
My little Hellion.
Yeah. So like he's like sort of obviously like upset to see her because she's like a vampire, but then you can tell he's not instantly being like, oh well, my sister's a vampire, I must like destroy her. He's like, oh no, like still happy to see you. But she's also told him that she hates him, but then she's helped him. I'm like, oh, this is
She
going to
gave
be
him a blood, didn't she?
this is going to be a complicated relationship going forward.
Yeah, definitely. Like, because she saved him from dying, didn't she? So
yeah. So my question for the second one is like, is she gonna? Because obviously she's been portrayed throughout the beginning of the book as being like very much a bad person, like because she's a vampire and she's like after Dior and it's not great and all this, but like the way that I think sort of knowing what Kristoff is like as well with characters and sort of the connections between each other, I would not be surprised if there ends up being like some sort of twist where Liafe is actually not as bad as she thinks she is.
yeah.
Like there's some sort of alliance formed with her and Gabe.
Yeah. Because I feel like even though Kristoff is known for, breaking people's hearts and doing things with his storylines and stuff like that,
Sentimental at heart.
he is sentimental, and we all like, even if it's not like a bright, shiny, happy ending to a book, like it's always like a bittersweet situation with his books.
It's never sort of the perfect ending that you would hope someone gets, but it's also not necessarily the most devastating.
Yeah, 100%. She's not. Yeah.
So just me.
Yeah.
I wish because I have also noticed from reading the Nevernight books when they do the because the recap in the second one is very similar to how it is in Nevernight, where it's dramatis personae, and it's every individual character broken down and explaining who they all are. And I have noticed from reading the previous ones that if you actually pay attention and read that, it gives you a bit of a clue of what direction we're heading in, because it's sort of like, and this is thing, or is it? And it's like, is this what I'm supposed to be thinking? So I'm just having a look because, funnily enough, Liafe is the third person listed, so it's clearly going to be very important because it's Gabriel, Dior.
The end of the book was literally come and meet my sister.
Yeah, so. It's Gabe, Dior, and then she's listed as Selene as well. She's not listed as Liafe.
But she did say Liafe was her title, not her name.
Yeah, but it's not even mentioned. Oh, now it has, yeah.
I feel like the way she went on when she found out that they were trying to bring the days back, she was like,
she
think that will bring it back. Yeah. Yeah. Well, she's been a vampire since he thought she was dead, hasn't she? So it's not been like hundreds of years, but she's had enough time to know what the crack is. Do you know what I mean?
Sorry, the end of her thing says she and her brother are ... not on the best of terms.
I mean,
but it also very specifically says she keeps both her face and her motives hidden. So it's like,
I
can understand why she's doing things.
I can understand though, because from her perspective, she wrote to him so much, he didn't reply, and so in her mind,
I mean, I will say he did eventually reply to one of the letters, and then he got sent off on a mission. Like he can't be replying when he's off fighting something.
Did he reply to his mum though? Not.
Yeah, he replied, but he replied to his mum, but then sent a message to her in it and said like apologize for thing, and then he immediately got sent off on a mission.
Maybe she didn't get it. That's why she hates him.
Well, no, because the mother replied, and I doubt the mother seemed to be a good mother, so I don't like she seemed to be quite protective of her children, so I doubt she's not.
Yeah, I suppose. Then that she literally got attacked because of something. Yeah. Fairs.
Yeah, that's more of the issue.
That makes sense.
When it gets to Astrid is the next one listed, and it doesn't even tell you exactly what happens. It's just like the pair retired to the southmost reaches of the empire, there to live as a famille in quiet happiness, but happiness was not to last. I was like, okay. You're not giving us a description, just telling you.
They did that thing at the end of the sentence, didn't it?
We're being called gentle reader again in the recap. It says, no shame, gentle reader. I also cried, and that's about patience.
Oh.
Can we've mentioned patience, and we've mentioned justice, but can we just give a little moment to the second horse who died helping them escape and then was used as fucking shelter? Like, that was the bit that if I was gonna, like, I'm not going to mention any further than that because you all know what I mean, but like, if there was a bit of this book that would have put me off, it wasn't anything to do with the blood, it wasn't anything to do with being a vampire, it was that scene.
I've just remembered something that a character that we haven't spoke about at all, which is Ash Drinker.
I love Ash Drinker. Oh my god!
Right, you know what, Tori? I'm just going to tell you, read Nevernight, because like, if you like Ash Drinker, Mr. Kindly will be your favorite character.
Yeah, 100%.
Multiple reasons. One of them being that he is a shadow cat.
I don't own it.
He is the void. He is the void cat.
And he very much talks to Mia in the same sort of way that Ash Drinker talks to.
So is he like Rollo and Eden joined together just in one cat? Like, I've got a void and a shadow upstairs?
No, there is a second animal that comes along. It's not a cat, but there's a second animal, so you can have multiple.
You can. I really think you will. You can have my... Read it, Tori, please. You can have my audiobook. Read them. I will buy it for you. Read them. In case you didn't know.
God, why do I feel like this is going to be your equivalent of David Bad Smash?
Honestly, if you didn't...
Smash David Bad.
If you didn't
I think
know...
it's going to turn up on your door in a couple of days.
They will. Yeah, if you didn't know, Smash loves this.
Say, like, it's not on my wish list, because about 5 of you have my address.
I was going to say, if you don't have her address, Smash, I do have it.
Both do. Lisa does, you do. Meg does. Becca does. Andy does.
Everyone does. But speaking of
Ash is ace though.
To be fair though, that is one of Smash's favourite series. So
I do not.
I can tell you why.
I don't know which way around it should be. I don't like that she got hurt. I do like Smash like. I don't like that Ash got hurt, but I like that you can tell the difference of the timeline based on how Ash speaks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can tell whether she's broken or not by whatever, but also one of my favorite
she's
things...
just singing people to sleep to calm them down or whatever. Yeah.
It made me laugh.
It's like, you don't tell any scary stories, and it's like, yeah, she was just singing to me.
It's just about this. Like, it'd be there, like, you'd be in a really serious situation, and she'd be just singing a fucking nursery rhyme or something, just like, while he's trying to kill people. Like, and he's like, shut up, Ash!
I was going to say, I love that A, nursery rhymes, and B, that she just cannot keep a secret, and she's just like, well, don't give me to them!
I do feel like there was a moment when I was rereading it that, like, because I was working at the same time, said, like, I knew we were in the storyline, like the part of the storyline before, like, we were in the earlier part. It was when everything happened with Astrid and Patience, and I knew we were in that particular part of the storyline. But then it got to the part where it says that, like, he attacked the vampire with his sword and the sword smashed, and I was like, but no, we can't destroy Ash Drinker. And I was like, oh no, this is how she gets damaged. She's not broken completely, just that little bit at the end is fine.
That's what I thought as well, because when all that happened, I was like, oh no, she can't get more damage. She's damaged enough. It's gonna like, no, she was a whole sword before that happened. This is how she got damaged. But the like, just that sword by itself, like, just the funny, and the fact that she genuinely just pissed him off, like, just singing it at proper track. He's like, shut up, Ash, not now, and you could just see in your mind, like, you could see, like, roll his eyes at her, or being like, seriously, right now. But yeah,
the last time I was flipping through the books, I found the page where Gabe tells Dior to calm her tits, and it amused me because I said it as an average, not as a book thing. And it amused me greatly. I love their hand. I don't have tits, remember? And then they started laughing.
I do like their little growing relationship.
Sorry, I just realised that's me that's making the noise.
Is it?
I've got WhatsApp open on my computer so that I could get the link for this, and somebody maybe in the comments has been messaging me on WhatsApp.
You've also been me. I also have WhatsApp open to get the link. I
realised it was me because I got a message on my phone that I looked at and then heard the noise. I was like, oh yeah, that's me. Sorry.
But yeah, I did like that you could sort of see from when Dior and Gabe met to, like, obviously as they progressed, and you know, he repeatedly saved her from harm and death, that she kind of sort of, it grew on her a little bit, and she wasn't as snarky with him. She maybe grew to like him a little bit.
I feel like I'm hoping anyway that it grows into like not like a father-daughter, because obviously he's lost patience and that's still very like raw. You can tell it is the fact that he still can't say anything about the fact that they've passed. There's definitely like an older brother like person who tells you to go to bed early and you tell them to sod off, and they don't have enough authority to make you do it, but they still think that they have to protect you kind of vibe going.
Yeah, I do hope to see more of their blossoming like bond.
Also, Lisa hasn't looked at WhatsApp yet, but Jay apparently mentioned Nevernight in tonight's London EOTV or EOTV talk, and I'm going next week. And
apparently he asked is anybody he was like giving an example that was a spoiler. So he said, has anyone here not read Nevernight? And there was silence. So Tori was like, does that mean that like I'm gonna get spoiled if I go next week? I'm like, maybe that's a reason for you to read it.
So you have a week to read the whole series.
Smash our readathon.
You can push back the Elisha.
If it helps, I binge read them all on audiobook and it took me for 2 days. Like, it's a bingeable series.
She's gonna have the whole series.
I know she is. She's
also available on audiobook. I mean,
on Scribd.
Could it be any easier? We can push back the Smash, I fucking love you so much.
This is not EOTV talk. This is bullying Tori talk.
It's my favourite of the Kristoff books. I think you should read it as a present.
Yeah, after reading, so what have we read now? Illuminate.
So who's changing their book of the year to make me prioritize this?
I don't even know what book I picked. I don't even know what I picked.
Radio Silence was what you did.
I mean, I'm happy. I'll still bully you into reading that at some point. So, because I know you own that one already, so it's easy enough to bully you into it.
And now you own the whole Nevernight series, and you can read
it. I also don't have like a week to read it.
Also, like a much easier read, and the audiobook is really good because it's a podcast in a book, so like it's better to listen to it audibly. Just a heads up.
So
I do have it audibly.
So, is there anything else that you want to discuss other than the ending? Anything else? Obviously, we've got the big vampire guy that tries to kill them. I don't know what this is.
Hold on. One last... Oh, fuck. Why do I not... I should have bookmarked all the fucking pictures. Which of the kids do we think is going to be the biggest bane in the existence of Gabriel? Where is it? I know it's right here. Here we go. Chloe 644, if you please.
I like how you just want to see them in colour.
I do. But it looks so much better. Look, like, this is pretty, but, like... We have so many of them to, like, try and do anything with, though. Like, I guess at least Gabe has the ability, if he can get close enough, to like do his whole sangomancy thing. And DR, if he gets close enough and can use his blood, has the ability to kill them instantly. He.
We literally just said she came out as a girl. She didn't come out as a girl. We found out she was a girl.
My brain. But like, there's a lot of them.
There is.
And Gabe may have just killed quite a lot of the people that have trained to kill them.
I mean, the Forever Prince is dead. And for me, I thought that was gonna be harder than it was. I thought the Forever Prince was gonna be like one of those characters that continued to get away. I was surprised that he actually got deaded. Like, he was no longer the undead. He was deaded.
I have a feeling they're using him as a martyr, so that all of the kids will stop doing their own little vendettas and go fit. Sorry, Chloe. What were you?
No, I'm looking something up before I say something.
Like, is this what?
One moment, please.
Talk amongst yourself.
Greyhound coming back in the end. We discussed that. Okay, Russian. Gabriel's caught. Chloe. High bloods. Woo! Danton's dead.
Did you like? Sorry, just while we fill in time, I love the fact that when they did the feast with Aaron and Baptiste, that everybody came. It wasn't like a highborn and lowborn, and only this person gets to come. It was like, everybody grab a plate. Fuck it, let's feast.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. That's what I mean about.
Terrified about the community he's built, because
that's what I was saying earlier. Like, they've built a really nice community there. Like, it's a genuine, like, it sounds like a lovely place to live. And then Gabe comes up. Yeah, just like, I think that either Baptiste or Aaron are gonna die in book 2. That is my prediction for book 2. Because we didn't talk about Saoirse and the lion and the fucking bard and the priest being deaded.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we kind of talked about because we talked about, like, obviously thinking that Chloe was dead, and I feel like it all happens very quickly.
But I forgot again, forgetting. I forgot that they were almost unalived, and then Dior used her blood to bring them back, and then they were actually dead the second time. I forgot about the first time when she brought them back. So the first time it happened, when they were all like bleeding out and stuff, I was like, "Oh right, okay, so they died, but they died quite early on. But this is where they die." And then she brought them back, and I was like, "Did they die?" I at that point I thought, like, did I imagine that they died and then they didn't actually die? And then when they died later, when I was like, "Oh, this is when the dead."
Did I?
They died. The dead died. The died deaded. They definitely deaded.
For anybody that has the books with the illustrations, Astrid's really pretty. Astrid, I've just seen her again on her picture of the one on the stained glass.
She's also doing the thing with the fangs at the moment. She's not alive. She's kind of undead.
Where is the picture?
I found what I wouldn't think. So
yeah,
just when you were saying about, you were surprised that the Forever Prince was like actually killed like that. We need to remind you though that on page number 8 we get told that Gabe is page 9 we get told that Gabe killed the Forever King. So like very early on.
What?
Yeah, it's like it says Fabian Voss is dead thanks to your tender ministrations. That's kind of what he's known as. Like at the beginning is the
Fabian Voss.
Fabian
Anton Voss.
No, let me read you the.
He kills Danton, doesn't he?
Yeah.
The Forever Prince.
Yeah, but if he's got round to killing the bigger guy, do we not think that he's probably going to have killed everyone else along the way?
That makes sense.
I totally did not put two together.
like that's what like I was thinking, I was like, am I crazy? Like we're very much told that's why he's been captured, is that he killed the big vampire, and then some of the other vampires that are left over have captured him, and that's why they're writing down his story, because he did something pretty big, and that's what we're building towards. And I'm gonna guess that him actually being captured at the minute is some sort of trick, and that like it'll lead you. This is my prediction for book 3, not even for book 2, is that it'll lead you to some sort of thing where like everything's happened, he's killed the Forever King, like he's then been captured by someone else, like you probably think Dior's dead at this point or something like that. Everything seems like it's just at the end of it, and then you find out that he let himself get captured, and it's all just a trick to finally finish off like all of the vampires. That's what I feel like it's going to be heading towards.
And he just wanted someone to tell his story.
Literally, I mean, that bit is here. Before the last Silver Saint dies, before all knowledge of your order is swept into an unmarked grave, my pale Empress Margot has, in her infinite generosity, offered opportunity for you to speak.
Yeah.
Page 10.
But I think it's a trick. And it does.
He did literally at the end of the book try to kill the guy that's the historian just to see be good. I don't know. Also, why did the historian turn into mice? I really want to know how. Like, I'm assuming the bloodchest stain, is that the one that control animals?
Maybe.
I'm assuming.
Maybe.
Chastain's the one that's got the double wolf as the head, but I can't remember if that's the one that does. But I can't remember how far in. Oh, wait, hold on. I just opened it up. We arrived at the monastery, so it shouldn't actually be that far after this. This is where Smash has already got the answer.
So, what are your predictions for book 2, Tora? Because we've had some of Chloe's prediction on his.
I mean, mine are more for the overall series than anything else, but yeah.
What was that, Chloe?
I gave predictions for the entire series.
Yeah.
I did Baltica.
All right. Camera went a bit funny. That's a great thought, Tora. That's a great thought, Tora. I agree.
I don't know. Like, I feel like some of our other flashbacks are gonna hopefully fill in some of the gaps. Because I'm assuming it will continue with the current flashback. Like, I know it's all flashbacks because he's telling it all, but like, flashback here. Wow, my brain does not work. And like,
I know what you mean, like
more recent and then further back, like flashback here. That's not. I think that's not what we meant.
My thoughts. Oh, there. Let's have a look at Smash's thoughts. I'll be honest. My prediction from when I first read this book are totally different to now.
But that's because you thought it had an entirely different ending.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You've also read more of Kristoff, haven't you?
She's read the same amount that me and Lisa have, I think.
Yeah, but like, had you read all of that before you read Emperor of the
Vampire? Ash read Nevernight a while back, like as they were coming out.
Fair.
No, I'm really frustrated with myself. I would say in Smash's accent if I knew how to do it, but I don't.
I have this feeling that Dior and Gabe are going to get split up at some point. Like, I know they're split right now because he's in prison, but like, properly split.
Well, he loses it, doesn't he? Well, we're led to believe that he's lost the Grail.
Yeah.
He lost her. So, has he really lost her, or is she hiding to keep herself safe?
Wondering if he goes up with Liathe somewhere, or like if Liathe... Celeste?
I genuinely can't. I think that if I attempted it, it would be offensive. When I've tried to learn your accent a bit better, I might try it But right now,
You're
it's...
saying that like you've never heard her speak before.
I know, but I don't... I'm going to sound stupid. I don't focus on her intonations and stuff like that. Like with other accents, I can pick up different intonations, and that's how I... Do you know how people like in Australian, instead of cat, like what is it? Instead of an R sound, it's an R. So instead of car, it's car. Like they have different sounds. So that's how I learned how to talk Australian in an Australian accent. But with her, with Geordie and like that type of like accent other than Geordie, and I don't know what accent yours is actually called, but similar to that. And hers is Smash is quite subtle. So I really struggle when the accents are really subtle, which is why every accent I do is really fucking broad, because the softer accents I can't do, because it ends up sounding Jamaican or Indian and I sound offensive. How long have you known me? But your accent's so soft.
It depends when you're talking to her.
Ah, true. I noticed the other day we were saying that I've now known Becca 4 years in March. That's madness. It's a madness. Anyway, we're talking about Vampire of the Kristoff, Empire of the Vampire, Empire of the Damned. My prediction is for book 2. I'm not going to say the rest of the series because I feel like I might set myself up to fail. This is probably going to not happen anyway, but I feel like he's going to need some more help from his friends. I like that with a little help from my friends. So he's going to be asking Baptiste and Aaron for some more backup. So they're going to back him up because that's just the people that they are. And they're going to be unalived. One or both of them are going to be unalived or dismembered, like lose a part of the body in some way.
Disfigured?
We're obviously disfigured, yeah. Something amputated. I think that obviously we're going to see more of Patience and what's her face, Astrid. I nearly called her Orchid, Astrid. And I think that there's just going to be lots of back and forth between him and Leathe, and they're going to begrudgingly on her side, he'll win around to be in quite close. And then they'll start building this familial relationship in ma famille, and she's gonna be like deaded, just because Kristoff will do that. Just as he's about to become happy that he's finally got his sister back in some way, shape, or form, someone will chop her head off.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she gets killed because, like, I mean, I don't think these things are happening until book 3. But I wouldn't be surprised if she gets killed because, like, she's a vampire and that's kind of like the thing that should happen. But also, like, it's in a way that like she's redeeming herself while she does it.
Yeah, we do like a bit of a redemption character, but then also gets unalived. It's only subtle because I want people to understand me when I get angry, frustrated. Well, I'm not going to say get angry, frustrated more, but maybe just
voice note her when you are. Just
voice note me when you want to do a bit of a stronger accent, and then I can learn from you. I'm expecting a big... This is what I'm scared of, because we've literally just got a book 2, and I'm reading it as soon as we've got it.
I mean, you read the first one as soon as you got it as well.
I know, but it was a little bit of a cliffhanger, but then I forgot about it. But whereas this, it's going to be like in my brain. I'm going to have 2 books out of 3. And it's like the whole Sarah J. Maas situation where I was waiting for book 3, and then it got pushed back, and then we got it, and then it was good.
I will say I think it's less likely that this one will get pushed back. J. Kristoff is normally actually pretty good at releasing things like that. There's not necessarily too long of a wait, and the only reason there was as long of a wait in between this one was because of COVID.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm guessing there's going to be a big cliffhanger. If I remember rightly, in Nevernight and...
Yeah, they always end with something.
Yeah, and Aurora
even the Illuminate books end with cliffhangers.
Yeah, Illuminate, yeah.
Fucking love that.
Yeah, so I think it's going to end with a cliffhanger, and I'm probably going to scream a little bit. I'm probably going to be crying at this book again at some point.
Did we notice that it is shorter?
No, because I don't have a physical copy yet.
Oh yeah. It's about 50 pages shorter. It looks a lot.
Doesn't mean it's going to be 50 pages less fucking painful, though, does it?
It is. I don't mind potentially being spoiled.
600 and something.
646. So.
No,
reading next.
My Illumicrate should be coming tomorrow. I've just got my dispatch. So
guess
my
what I'm
lovely
not reading over the first weekend of Marvelathon?
Empire of the Damned, because you'll be reading Nevernight.
I would love to say, for anybody that watches this back afterwards, I fucking love Smash, okay? This is not a bad thing. I'm just being RC for the sake of it. She already knows setbacks.
My physical copy is being sent to my nana tomorrow. Not sure what I'm going to get yet. My Illumicrate copy is due tomorrow, but I'm not going to be in my house. That sucks. But also, I may have the audio if you want to try and start listening.
I just checked to see if the audio is on Scribd yet.
Oh no, I pre-ordered it from Audible because I want to start listening to it after this, I think. But Smash, if you want to start listening to it first, if you're interested in, you should have my Audible.
Using your ears.
Open your ears. But yes, those are the predicciones. There's going to be another 6 weeks ish between now and
mid-April.
Okay. Yeah, so it'll be mid-April when we can reconvene for the pain that no doubt will be.
Which also means that if anyone is on the correct team in particular for Marvelathon, if you're on Team Villains, feel free to read it and take as long as you want to. But if you're on Team Heroes and you would prefer to leave it for the beginning of April, like I'm going to, we'll still have about 2 weeks at the beginning of April to read it.
It's fine. I've got many other books to read.
I'm pretty sure this fits for quite a few prompts if you are using it.
It does. If you're a quick reader, if you think it's going to slow you down, wait.
True.
I mean, I would love to point out the fact that I've got this and Kingdom of Ash, and apparently a trilogy.
I'm just going to say that if you are on the correct team, let's think what prompts we've got. It's definitely an unreliable narrator. I do not trust Gabe.
Let's go off track. Good prompt for me.
What's our other 2 prompts? Meg's is what? Sorry,
Immortals, Emma, and you've got vampires.
There we go. I don't think it counts for Meg's because it's not really an alternate history because it's in a different world. But
I mean, technically, it's a history of Gabe.
Yeah, but it's not I've had spoke to Meg about this very much what she meant by. I know obviously you can twist it if you want to, but an alternate history in general obviously is meant a history that is out there. There's sort of our world, and then there is sort of a fundamental thing that's different, and that makes it an alternate history. But usually, alternate histories tend to be what if the Nazis won the war?
And I work team color because it's Doctor Strange's color.
My first pick for because I'm not on either team, I'm going to be doing a Director Fury prompt twice, but I'm going to do 150 points for each team. And then my first Zoom was Heroes, and it was Doctor Strange. So it's the car crash one. So I'm going to use.
I couldn't not do it. It was too good a prompt to not like. It's so easy to fill.
Yeah, so I've Heroes is going to be my first book that I read, and I can fulfill at least 2 prompts with that. So you'll be getting that at the beginning of the month, and then I'm going to switch to a villains prompt. So that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to share my points between you both because I'm good.
I just love Ash telling me that I was outnumbered in the chat and not realizing that Chloe was on the correct team. It was like, you're outnumbered here, Chloe. I'm like, no, I'm not. Why do you think I said it? We've got 2 of us.
And I'm an impartial. Do you know what? It feels really good to be impartial for a change and not have to be like, oh, I'm on the. No, I'm just like, I can vote for both of you.
I specifically asked Bobby to make me a background that is half Strange, half Venom. And it's hilarious because Bobby did it in such a way that Venom's background is behind me if I'm hosting. So it's wrong and it's great and it amuses me and I love reading it.
My brain thought Ashley was alive, so I genuinely thought book 2 would just be her explaining that Gabe had lied about so much and why she was alive and pick out all the issues.
Oh no.
So unreliable narrator would 100% work. Look,
I mean, it
I've
still does
literally had
work.
Dave
I
from
don't
House
trust
today.
Gabe.
No.
Honestly, Smash, it's fine. I'm like this every day. You're well aware. So
I will continue to make fun of you for it because that's who I am as a person. But yeah,
it's your love language, Chloe. It's like Andy. If Andy stopped like harassing me, I would genuinely ask her to go to the doctors. Like we know that Andy should be at the doctors like half the time, but like the doctors.
I think half is generous.
I was telling somebody today about the fact that she thought it was normal to have like dislocated shit and it just to still be a work day. I was like, no, if you've dislocated the knee and the leg and the hip that needs to clutch drive, you do not get in your car.
Oh, fuck's sake. It's a good job I know that Chloe, because for anyone else, I'd probably cry today. Oh, that's not funny.
In front of you.
We love you, Smash. But yeah, those are the thoughts, feelings, and ponderances from us three. We'll be back to see you again in about 6 weeks' time. And yeah, if you join a Marvelathon and you think you can read this, it probably will fit quite a few prompts.
If you think you're going to be really slow with reading it, just make sure you're on Team Villains.
Oh, you could leave it till April.
No, that's if you're on Team Heroes and you think it's going to be really slow. If you're planning on reading it next month and you think it's like the only thing you're going to get through, not on my team.
Rude.
Yeah. I genuinely don't know when I want to read it, and I had it in my brain I was picking this up tomorrow, but Smash has ruined that. So,
in the best possible way.
In the best way. Like one stuff for another.
Well, I can tell you all the prompts. Also very much fits on reliable narrator. We don't even know the narrator is. It's definitely a car crash one. There are things that happen in that. Again, it's not alternate history. I don't know about immortals. I'm like, Mr. Kindly's kind of immortal.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
Oh, he's also an animal companion. Would not like to be called an animal companion, but he very much is.
Right, we're gonna get off now because I need to edit a video. Because I haven't been editing videos. But peace out to Smash for joining. Thank you for being our little commenter. I don't know what that was.
We'll try and have the next live show on a day where Joe Kristoff isn't doing the signing in London, so Becca can also join.
Correct, we will. Yeah. Not gonna lie, as we know, I'm not going to put this competition about me. Tara Reid's never I win. Yeah. Just Smash wins if Tara Reid's never night.
I think we all win, but okay.
that is fair. We'll put a gold
she's
star on all of you.
bought me them so that I read them. I think she wins.
But yeah, we will see you all in the future. Adios.